Continuing along our week one assessment, Russ Mitchell checking in on the SEC. We also have Rich Cirminiello in the Pac-12. Russ, let's start with you.
Well, it's a good thing you're positive, Bonnie, because looking at the SEC, it's still the best conference in the country. But Florida's offense can't get going. You've got Alabama against a Virginia Tech defense that's okay, but averaging only 2.5 yards per carry on 38 carries. Tell me there aren't problems with that offensive line down at Tuscaloosa. LSU can't score a touchdown in the red zone again. And you've got Kentucky losing to Western Kentucky. You've got State getting just embarrassed by Oklahoma State. There are some issues down south of the Mason-Dixon.
Rich, are you going to work with me, or are you going to be positive about the Pac-12? I'm the only positive person on set here today. What do you got for me?
I'm feeling positive this morning. I feel good about the Pac-12. 7-3. Obviously, the one black mark is the Oregon State loss to Eastern Washington. But what I like about this conference, Bonnie, is you have this budding upper middle class. Teams like UCLA easily handling Nevada 58-20, and obviously the big win, the signature win, poor man's Clemson for the Pac-12, was Washington beating Boise State. So you have the signature programs out there. Oregon not tested, Stanford doesn't play. But UCLA and Washington, look out for those two teams to be major challenges out of the North and the South, respectively.
I want to go back to Clemson for a second. Huge win over Georgia. A lot of chatter about them today. How big was the win for the Tigers? Well, Dabo Swinney didn't mince words after the game.
There's never been a non-SEC team beat two top 10 SEC teams in a row until tonight. It's only unthinkable if you don't think it.
Thanks to ESPN for that, and Heather Cox. And when you look at their schedule, guys, it's really not that bad. Florida State at home October 9th, and of course you got South Carolina in the season finale, but that's a road game. Russ, how equipped do you think Clemson is to run the table?
Well, I mean, there are still some issues about that defense, but you pointed out schedules are just as important as rosters, and Clemson's can't be any easier. And again, Dabo hit the nail on the head. It's a beauty contest, right, y'all? Until we get a playoff, it's a beauty contest. And don't kid yourself, when the end of the season comes, the fact that they can point to beating two top 10 SEC teams back-to-back, that's going to carry a lot of weight with the voters.
Well, one of those obviously isn't going to count, Russ, because LSU was last year the Chick-fil-A Bowl, so that has to be dismissed. And I have as much respect. I have total respect for Clemson. I love Taj Boyd, love what Dabo has done, both on the field and recruiting. But if you want to talk about Clemson getting to the next level, I still think we have to look at that defense. Very good adjustments on Saturday night by Brent Venables, but still gave up well over 500 yards. So I have some concerns, not just against Florida State and South Carolina, but those trap games that have tripped up Clemson in the past. Is it an NC State, a Maryland, a Virginia along the way where we'll have trouble? Saturday night was set up perfectly. Home game. Georgia was not a complete team. No Malcolm Mitchell. I still have concerns as to whether or not Clemson can go from ACC champion to a potential national champion.
Well,
let's just remember really quickly, Rich, that they were going up against a Georgia offense that might be one of the best offenses in the country, period. So the fact that they gave up that many total yards in offense, I mean, that's probably the best offense they'll face all year.
And not like I think South Carolina State's going to pose any problem, but we always talk about the emotional letdown of a win like that, so that's something we should be keeping in mind. Alabama, Rich, I'm always hesitant to put too much stock in teams' week one performance against an inferior team, but let's be honest. Alabama's offense looked like it was body snatched by a sack of bricks. 206 total yards, their lowest yardage total since an early September game against Tulane back in 2008. So we've talked about the O-line. Rich, do you think the Tide's defense is enough to tide Bama over?
Oh, I think so. Bonnie, you got to throw special teams in there. We obviously didn't factor in Christian Jones before the opener, and now you have more pop on special teams. I don't have the worries that other people do. Go back to week 2 last year against Western Kentucky, 6 sacks. There was a lot of caterwauling with that offensive line. No, this year the O-line is not as good as last year, but it just means that A.J. McCarron is going to be asked to do more. T.J. Yeldon will be asked to do more. Alabama's offense will be fine. In fact, I think this plays into the hand of Nick Saban because now he has something to put in front of his team. You're not perfect. You're defending champs, but you have flaws. Alabama will be fine.
Rich, I don't know when having flaws is a good thing or plays into your hand. And let's face it, folks from Alabama have already slammed my inbox, my email inbox, giving me all the excuses. 8 guys in the box. Nobody can run against that. Well, where was A.J. McCarron then? Where's your 2-time defending national championship quarterback who's 10 of 24, so under 50% in completion, barely over 100 yards throwing with a touchdown and interception? That's terrible. Terrible performance.
We all told you last week. This is the best defense they're going to face all year. This is the best defense they're going to face all year. They're fine. It's fine. Virginia Tech's really, really good defensively.
Virginia Tech defense. Bud Foster had months to prepare with a veteran, very fast defensive line. People want to dismiss Virginia Tech. That is a top 10 or 12 defense in the entire country, and that has to be discussed as well.
But with a bottom 100 offense, that offense is what's going to slow that team down the entire year.
Yeah, but as
and they were out on the field for the whole game because their quarterback only had 5 completions. I'm telling you right now, LSU's defense and Florida's defense is better than Alabama's defense.
All right. You guys, we can do this for hours. Rich and Russ, I'm cutting you off. I'm sorry. It's nothing personal. I love you. We'll talk to you later in the week.